Have you ever stood by someone's side, offering your time, care, and loyalty, only to realize they wouldn't do the same for you? It's a painful truth. Not everyone who walks with you cares for you. But how do you recognize those who only take without giving? In today's video, we'll explore 4 revealing signs that someone doesn't truly care about you. Insights grounded in the wisdom of Stoicism. More than just identifying these behaviors, we'll uncover how to respond with strength, clarity, and emotional resilience. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control how others treat us, but we can control how we interpret their actions and what we choose to tolerate. This isn't about resentment or revenge. It's about protecting your inner peace, setting boundaries, and focusing your energy on people and pursuits that truly matter. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize these signs, but also gain the mindset to navigate relationships with greater wisdom and purpose. Have you ever experienced this in your own life? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's dive into how Stoicism can transform the way you approach relationships and personal growth. 1. Emotional manipulation for control. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you give, it's never enough? That someone always finds a way to twist your kindness, making you feel guilty for setting boundaries? This is the insidious nature of emotional manipulation, a tactic used by those who don't truly care about you, but instead seek to control you through guilt, obligation, or fear. They say things like, "If you really cared about me, you'd do this," or "I guess I was wrong to think I could count on you." These words are not mere expressions of disappointment. They are carefully placed traps designed to make you question yourself, to make you feel responsible for their happiness while your own needs are pushed aside. Over time, this dynamic shifts the balance of power. You find yourself constantly striving to meet their expectations, afraid that standing up for yourself will mean losing their approval. This is where Stoicism offers a lifeline. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. It is not their manipulation that truly harms us, but how we interpret and react to it. Once you see their tactics for what they are, projections of their own insecurities, you regain your power. Think of Oprah Winfrey, who endured years of emotional manipulation and abuse, only to transform her experiences into a source of strength. Instead of letting others define her worth, she took control of her own narrative. Or consider Nelson Mandela, who, after decades of imprisonment, refused to let bitterness consume him. He understood that resentment only gives more power to those who seek to control you. Manipulative people often act out of their own unresolved struggles, attempting to control what they cannot fix within themselves. This is not a reflection of your worth, but of their own inner turmoil. When you recognize this, you free yourself from the emotional chains they try to place on you. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to thrive on creating guilt and conflict, leaving you emotionally drained? The next time you sense this happening, pause and ask yourself, is this situation truly mine to own, or am I being pulled into someone else's chaos? By shifting your perspective, you take back control of your emotions. This principle is beautifully illustrated in the story of Ava, a young entrepreneur who partnered with a colleague notorious for manipulation. Every time Ava voiced concerns about the workload, her colleague responded with guilt-inducing statements like, "I thought you were someone I could count on," or "If you don't do this, we'll both fail, and it'll be on you." For months, Ava felt trapped, overworked, undervalued, and emotionally drained. Then, one day, she came across the Stoic concept of prohairesis, the idea that while external events are beyond our control, our inner choices remain ours. Inspired, she decided to take back her power. The next time her colleague tried to guilt her, she responded firmly, "I understand that you're stressed, but I can no longer take on work that isn't mine. This partnership needs to be fair to both of us." The confrontation was uncomfortable, but for the first time in years, Ava felt liberated. She no longer allowed someone else's emotional tactics to dictate her actions. By embracing Stoic wisdom, she reclaimed her peace and self-respect, both personally and professionally. What about you? Have you ever felt the weight of someone else's manipulation? What steps could you take today to ensure that your peace remains untouchable, no matter how others try to sway you? The Stoic lesson here is profound. You cannot control how others behave, but you can always control how you respond. When faced with manipulation, do not react impulsively. Instead, pause, reflect, and choose your response with intention. Emotional manipulation thrives on confusion and self-doubt, but it crumbles in the face of clarity and resilience. Setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of self-respect. When you prioritize your emotional well-being and refuse to internalize someone else's manipulations, you declare to the world and to yourself that your peace is yours to protect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you recognize manipulation for what it is and meet it with wisdom and strength, you strip it of its power. This is not just a one-time practice, it is a lifelong commitment to living in harmony with yourself. Every day you have a choice. Will you allow others to dictate your emotions, or will you take control of your inner world? Stay mindful, stay strong, and never forget, you hold the keys to your own freedom. 2. Downplaying your struggles. Have you ever confided in someone about your hardships, only to be met with a dismissive remark like, "It's not a big deal," or "You're overthinking it"? This seemingly casual indifference speaks volumes, not about your struggles, but about their lack of care. When someone downplays your experiences, they reveal not only a lack of empathy, but also an unwillingness to acknowledge the depth of your emotions. Stoicism teaches us that the weight of challenges is deeply personal. What may seem small to one person can be monumental to another, depending on their journey, resilience, and inner battles. Epictetus wisely observed, "It's not what happens to us that disturbs us, but our opinion about what happens." Our struggles are not defined by external validation. They are shaped by our perceptions, our efforts, and our perseverance. To have your hardships dismissed is to have a piece of your reality denied. But the Stoics remind us that true validation comes from within. This harmful behavior manifests in many forms, from personal relationships to broader societal attitudes. Consider the story of Lady Gaga, who courageously opened up about her mental health struggles, only to be met with accusations of attention-seeking. Rather than allowing these dismissals to silence her, she transformed her pain into advocacy, raising global awareness for mental health. Or take J.K. Rowling, who faced skepticism and rejection while writing Harry Potter during a period of severe financial hardship. Publishers dismissed her work, and those around her doubted her ability to succeed. But instead of internalizing their skepticism, she persisted, turning her struggles into one of the most successful literary journeys in history. What do these stories teach us? That the judgments of others do not define us. The world may try to trivialize your pain, but only you understand the battles you have fought. Stoicism aligns with this lesson, urging us to separate our self-worth from external opinions. If someone dismisses your struggles, it does not make them any less real. Your challenges, no matter how insignificant they seem to others, are shaping you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The words of those who dismiss you are outside your control, but your reaction to them is entirely within your power. Instead of seeking understanding from those unwilling to give it, focus on building an inner resilience that does not require their approval. In today's fast-paced, achievement-driven world, vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness. People who have never walked your path may belittle your struggles, comparing them to their own or dismissing them altogether. But Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies in the ability to acknowledge and honor our own hardships. When someone diminishes what you're going through, let that be a signal, not to doubt yourself, but to reaffirm the significance of your journey. Rather than internalizing their indifference, ask yourself, am I measuring my struggles by my own growth, or by the understanding of those who refuse to see? The truth is, their dismissiveness has nothing to do with you. It is a reflection of their own limitations, their own inability to empathize. Your responsibility is not to convince them of your reality, but to continue forward, knowing that every challenge you endure is a step toward transformation. Seneca once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Simply facing life's obstacles, choosing to persist when others belittle your hardships, is an extraordinary act of strength. Every difficulty you overcome, no matter how small, is proof of your resilience. By embracing this mindset, you shield yourself from the harm of dismissive attitudes and foster a deeper compassion, not only for yourself, but for those around you. When you recognize this, you do more than protect your own peace. You contribute to a world where struggles are not shamed, but understood. By validating your own hardships and extending that same understanding to others, you create a ripple effect of empathy and strength. This is the essence of modern Stoicism: to detach from harmful opinions, focus on inner growth, and cultivate a mindset that turns struggles into stepping stones. So the next time someone downplays your experiences, remember this: their words do not define your reality. Your struggles are not failures, they are the foundation of your strength. You do not need their validation, you only need your own. Stay resilient, trust your journey, and let your growth speak louder than their indifference. 3. Putting themselves first. Have you ever had someone in your life who always seemed to take but never give, who expected support, understanding and sacrifice from you, yet offered none in return? This is the mark of a self-centered individual, someone who prioritizes their own desires while disregarding the well-being of those around them. This behavior can manifest in many ways. It might be a friend who constantly seeks your advice, but never makes time to listen to your struggles. A colleague who takes credit for teamwork, but deflects responsibility when things go wrong. A romantic partner who demands emotional support, yet remains emotionally distant when you need them most. Whether in personal relationships or professional settings, selfishness erodes trust, weakens emotional bonds, and ultimately leaves people feeling used and unappreciated. From a Stoic perspective, this kind of behavior reflects a deep misunderstanding of life's true purpose. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." A life driven solely by self-interest may bring short-term gain, but it often leads to long-term isolation, regret, and a legacy of broken relationships. Those who manipulate others for their own advantage may rise quickly, but they ultimately stand on shaky ground, because no true success is built on the suffering of others. One striking example of this is Elizabeth Holmes, the founder of Theranos. Driven by ambition, she misled investors and patients in her relentless pursuit of personal success. For a time, she was celebrated, admired, and seen as a visionary. But when the truth surfaced, the very empire she had built collapsed, leaving behind a legacy of deception, financial ruin, and lost trust. While this may be an extreme case, selfish behavior manifests in everyday life as well, in small betrayals, in a lack of reciprocity, and in an unwillingness to consider the needs of others. In relationships, selfishness often appears in one-sided dynamics. One partner may consistently demand emotional support, but refuse to offer it in return. A friend may rely on you in times of crisis, but vanish when you need them. Over time, these imbalances create resentment, exhaustion, and emotional detachment. The Stoics provide a powerful antidote to this destructive mindset. Epictetus reminds us, "What is good for the hive is good for the bee." This principle highlights an essential truth. Our individual well-being is deeply connected to the well-being of others. When we act with empathy, fairness, and integrity, we strengthen our relationships and cultivate a life of deeper fulfillment. However, Stoicism also teaches us not to be naive. While compassion is a virtue, enabling selfish behavior is not. The Stoics encourage us to set firm boundaries, to protect our time, energy, and emotional health without succumbing to bitterness or resentment. Recognizing selfishness in others does not mean fighting it with anger, but rather choosing not to let it dictate our lives. In today's fast-paced, competitive world, self-interest is often mistaken for ambition. Many are taught to prioritize personal success over everything else, even at the expense of others. But true success is measured not by what we take, but by what we contribute. Practicing Stoicism in this context means making conscious choices. It means distancing yourself from those who drain you, asserting your needs in unbalanced relationships, and surrounding yourself with people who value mutual respect and reciprocity. If someone repeatedly puts themselves first at your expense, Stoicism empowers you to reclaim your power, redefine your boundaries, and walk away if necessary. A life guided by Stoic principles measures success not by status, wealth, or fleeting victories, but by the positive impact we leave on others. True fulfillment comes from integrity, meaningful relationships, and a commitment to higher values. When we shift our focus from self-serving ambitions to collective well-being, we not only enrich our own lives, but also uplift those around us. Marcus Aurelius offers us a profound reminder: live a good life. If there are gods, and they are just, they will not care how devout you have been, but will welcome you based on the virtues you have lived by. Let this wisdom inspire you to act with integrity, foster meaningful connections, and pursue a life of purpose, not one built on selfishness, but on virtue, resilience, and lasting fulfillment. 4. Lack of empathy. Have you ever shared your struggles with someone only to be met with indifference or dismissal? When you needed understanding, they offered judgment. When you sought comfort, they responded with apathy. This is one of the clearest signs that someone does not truly care about you: a lack of empathy. Empathy is what allows us to connect, to step into another's experience and offer support, even when we haven't walked their exact path. Without it, relationships become hollow, transactional, and disconnected. People who lack empathy may ignore your pain, minimize your emotions, or make you feel as though your struggles are insignificant. Instead of listening, they deflect. Instead of acknowledging, they dismiss. Over time, this emotional distance creates an unbridgeable gap, leaving you feeling unseen, unheard, and unvalued. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, understood the power of human connection. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Stoicism teaches us that empathy is not just a virtue, it is a foundation for a meaningful and fulfilling life. It fosters trust, strengthens relationships, and creates harmony in our communities. When absent, it breeds division, resentment, and isolation. The consequences of a lack of empathy are evident not just in personal relationships, but also in society at large. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many leaders showed a shocking disregard for human suffering, prioritizing political gains over public health. Their indifference deepened social divisions, eroded trust, and left many feeling abandoned. Likewise, in workplaces led by individuals who lack empathy, employees often feel undervalued, unmotivated, and disconnected, leading to lower morale and productivity. But empathy is not just a leadership skill, it is a way of living. It is a practice that begins within. Consider the story of Sarah, a young professional working in a demanding corporate environment. Sarah was known for her dedication and work ethic, consistently delivering outstanding results. Yet, when she confided in her manager, Tom, about her growing stress and mental health struggles, he dismissed her concerns with a cold response. "We all have stress. You need to toughen up." Instead of receiving support, Sarah was made to feel weak for struggling. Over time, this indifference drained her motivation, making her question her own worth. She began to withdraw, feeling increasingly isolated in a workplace that prioritized productivity over people. Then, she had a conversation with a mentor that changed her perspective. The mentor shared a simple but profound Stoic truth. You cannot control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond. Sarah realized that she had been seeking empathy in the wrong place. Instead of allowing Tom's indifference to define her worth, she chose to cultivate her own empathy, not for him, but for herself. She set clear boundaries, sought support from colleagues who valued her contributions, and eventually transitioned to a workplace where empathy and collaboration were core values. Her story serves as a reminder. The lack of empathy in others does not diminish your worth. It is their deficiency, not yours. So, how can you cultivate empathy in a world where it is often overlooked? Start with self-awareness. Ask yourself, do I truly listen when others speak? Or am I simply waiting for my turn? Do I acknowledge their emotions, or do I dismiss them because I don't relate? Do I extend to others the same understanding I wish to receive? Empathy begins with recognizing our own emotions and using that understanding to connect with the experiences of others. When you actively listen, offer genuine support, and show kindness, you not only strengthen your relationships, but also contribute to a more compassionate world. Stoicism reminds us that empathy is not just a gift to others. It is a practice that enriches your own life. It is a discipline that fosters emotional resilience, allowing us to remain grounded in the face of indifference. Think about your own experiences. Have you encountered people who lacked empathy? How did it affect you? More importantly, what would happen if you approached your relationships with greater understanding and care? The truth is, empathy bridges gaps, deepens trust, and fosters growth in ways nothing else can. By choosing to lead with empathy, you align yourself with the Stoic principle of living in harmony with others and yourself. And while you cannot control how empathetic others are, you can control the example you set. So, as you reflect on the signs of those who do not truly care, ask yourself, which behavior have you encountered most often? 1. Emotional manipulation. 2. Downplaying your struggles. 3. Selfishness. 4. Lack of empathy. Comment below with your answer. 1, 2, 3, or 4. How did you handle it? As you reflect on these 4 signs, remember, the way others treat you is a reflection of them, not a measure of your worth. Emotional manipulation, dismissiveness, selfishness, and lack of empathy are not burdens you are meant to carry. They are reminders to set boundaries, protect your peace, and surround yourself with those who truly value you. You are not responsible for fixing people who refuse to change. What you are responsible for is choosing how you respond, how you protect your energy, and how you cultivate relationships that uplift rather than drain you. Now, take a moment to ask yourself, which of these signs have you encountered most? And what will you do today to reclaim your peace? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might help someone else on their journey. If this video resonated with you, give it a like and share it with someone who might need this reminder. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more insights on resilience, self-mastery, and the wisdom of Stoicism. Stay strong, stay mindful, and remember, every challenge is a chance to grow. In our next video, we'll explore another powerful Stoic lesson to help you navigate life with greater clarity and strength. See you there.